On TV Through the Tunnel of Time, let's go from Miami to Harrisburg.
TV through the tunnel of time, up and down the broadcast trail.
That's right. For 5.5 years, I was part-time at WCIX-TV in Miami on a broken promise of being full-time after a full year's worth of weekend work. I learned my lesson and took a step back to the medium markets, sending out tapes all across the country, but it was my home high school years area that called me back. Signed contract in hand, I became the weekend weatherman and 3-day-a-week feature and environmental reporter at WHP-Tv 21. But no good deed goes unpunished. Within 2 weeks of my arrival, in the autumn of 1990, the trap door opened up on that place too. The once proud, last, family-owned AM/FM TV combination properties in the country went bankrupt, just as me and dozens of others were hired to help take the decade-long perennial number 3 station from the basement to tackle at least the number 2 station in the market, WHTM-TV 27, that was right across the street, both UHF stations, both in the shadow of the dominant and only VHF station in the market, WGAL-TV Channel 8 in Lancaster. Producer Pam Schmidbauer, Pammy June.
I'm like, wow, I had 5 news directors in 4 years.
Anchor and reporter Amy Castelli.
I remember arriving and then being laid off shortly after.
Weatherman Jim Buchanan.
Yeah, we were just a struggling third, always trying new things.
Sports anchor and reporter Doug Sivko.
I was the weekday sports guy 3 times and the weekend sports guy 3 times in 9 years.
But then you
back
were
and forth like a damn ping pong ball. And they wondered why we were in 3rd place for all these years.
Right.
And yours truly, weatherman and reporter RJ Heim. The adventure, the highlights, the lowlights, the struggles, the betrayals, and successes too. In Season 1, Episode 5 of Up and Down the Broadcast Trail. Join us as we open the doors and go back in time to WHP-TV Channel 21, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
TV through the tunnel of time, up and down the broadcast trail.
Sponsored by Nori Tattoo Studio, 148 Atwells Avenue, Providence, specializing in the art of modern realism. And Motif Magazine, in print and online at motifri.com, your source for all things local. And the Providence Eye, nonprofit independent journalism empowering the public.
You're watching WHP-TV 21, and it's for you. Live from Central Pennsylvania's news leader, this is News Site 21 with Gene Lepley, Roxanne Stein, Jim Buchanan's weather, Kurt Gregory Sports, and the award-winning news team.
That's just the way it is, baby. Oh.
Pam,
Yeah.
That's okay.
Gotta be on.
I remember you with, with
The big hair.
Yes.
All the 80s are gone.
Oh, they're
80s and 90s.
They're still alive here now.
It all comes back.
It does.
Oh, man. I'm glad Doug got it. Now, Doug, how long are you going to be able to chat before you reach your destination?
I actually have a good hour, so
Oh, okay. So you'll be here for the duration.
yeah, is that how long we're going, or?
Well, sometimes we target a half hour, and next thing you know, an hour and 20 has gone by. But then
Because of Pam. That's because of
Definitely. I'm such a talker.
Let's get this thing started. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 5 of Up and Down the Broadcast Trail. And I thank you all so much. This was so arduous to try to track down people to talk and to be part of this. I think the reason might be that some people just don't want to go there.
This is WHP-TV 21, Harrisburg, York. Now, from the award-winning News 21 team, news, sports, and weather for Central Pennsylvania on News 21, the early edition.
It's in the past. People have moved on. I mean, I've tried getting in touch with Roxanne Stein. I've tried getting in touch with Gene Lepley, a whole host of other people. And you guys are the ones that showed up. So I appreciate it immensely. Where do we start? Doug Sivko, you're top left. You were a sports guy when I got there at WHP.
Yes.
When did you start and how long did you last?
Well, I got there, I think, in April of 1984, and I stayed until the end of 93. So 9 years, almost 10 years, I was at WHP.
So you left in 93?
Yeah, somewhere in 93, right. Mm-hmm.
Where were you before you got there, and how did you get there?
Well, I first started at Rutgers University in journalism and communications. Little did I know that that would provide me such a low-paying start to my career. But I ended up being an NBC page in New York for a little over 16 months, where I was seating people for the David Letterman show and Saturday Night Live, and I ended up getting on a few soap operas with small roles. And then I got the itch to go to TV news because we had a bunch of news directors from small markets around the country coming in to do promos with Tom Brokaw.
Tom Brokaw and the NBC Nightly News. First and fair.
I had 20 low market news directors who were also the GMs of their stations, and I handed out my resume like grit newspapers, and a couple of them said sure. So I got a job in Louisiana, North Carolina, and then finally to WHP in '84.
We'll get into more of the stories as we go on. I want to make sure everyone gets introduced here first. Let's go bottom left. Pam Schmidbauer, you were a producer there at WHP-Tv Channel 21. When did you get there, and when did you leave?
I like to say I did a term, exactly 4 years. So it was May 1989 to May 1993. So I did a term in Harrisburg. Before that, I was in college. I graduated in 1988. And while I was in school, I worked at WOWK-TV in Huntington, West Virginia.
Action News Team. Now, Channel 13's Bob Smith.
Good evening. Glad you're here. And tonight...
So that's really where I got my start. I was producing there. I did that part-time for a while. I graduated. Somebody else moved on. So that was nice. I just slid right into a full-time producing role. I was doing the 11 there. I can't remember for the life of me how I heard about the job in Harrisburg, but I did somehow, and I applied, and I got it.
You enjoyed your time there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It was crazy. I remember some craziness. And when I was sitting there thinking of who I worked with, I'm like, wow, I had 5 news directors in 4 years.
Whoa.
That's not great. I remember when I started, I think it was Chris Fickus, who was doing TV and radio. For a very short time. Then I went to Scott Benjamin, then Steve Hunziker, Jeff Hertrick, and then Matt Hope. So that tells you something when there's a lot of turnover there.
And we're gonna get into how all of that stuff happened.
Oh yeah.
Amy, jump in. When did you get there? How long did you last? And when did you leave?
How long did I last?
Well, it's a funny way to put it, I know.
It is.
1990 to 1996.
Tonight on News 21 at 11.
Grab me my neck, push me my chest.
Day 2 of the Mark Spots trial in Schuylkill County, and the man on trial isn't very happy. Good evening, I'm Amy Costelli.
I came from Clarksburg, West Virginia. I'm a Pittsburgh native, but first job was in Clarksburg, West Virginia.
We've got the touch on Dickens. We've got the touch on Dickens.
From WDTV, winner of North Central West Virginia's #1 news award, this is News 5 Alive.
And came to WHP as a reporter, and then did various anchoring shows, weekends, 6 and 11 during the weekdays. You know how it goes. You know, you sort of move up and that kind of thing.
So you want news that accurately reflects Central Pennsylvania?
You're on.
You say you want complete weather information early in the newscast? You're on.
You're telling us you want news that's balanced. Stories of hope.
You're on. So you want great sports coverage of all your favorite teams?
You're on. We're listening. listening to you, putting your feedback to work. You asked for it.
You got it. Award-winning coverage from News 21, making a difference in central Pennsylvania.
And then I went to Cleveland.
And the shopping begins. A lot of people will be doing it online. We'll help you keep your information private while shopping online.
Lots of giveaways as well.
We'll see you on Thursday.
I have been in Cleveland for the most part from 1996 until now. I did a stint in Washington, D.C. for nearly 3 years at WJLA and a couple of other freelance things.
Now, Amy, are you still on television?
I'm not. Nope.
When did you leave TV briefly, and what are you doing now?
It was about 2002, and I started a PR company, which I still run today. However, there were a few things I did after I got off of sort of the television news circuit. I did some shows, environmental topics, a lifestyle show. I kind of kept my toe in the water and did some voiceover type work. So I did that on top of working in public relations.
Jim Buchanan, you were a weatherman at WHP, correct? Tell me.
Yep. Well, before I start, I think, Pam, I have you beat by news directors. I also had Fred Caesar.
And I don't remember that name.
And then all the rest. But I didn't remember Hunsicker. What was his first name?
Steve.
Steve. Yeah,
That's
Steve
right.
had hired me. So, Jim, one technical thing. Start talking for a little bit because your chroma key is cutting out part of your face.
I can adjust that too, I guess, somewhere in the video.
Yeah, it's better now.
That looked better.
Yeah, it's just when you're leaning and the TV behind you, it cuts into your face. It looks like you had a horrible accident.
Like that.
There you go.
Yeah. Do that.
My career at WHP actually started across the street at 27.
This is WHTM-TV, serving Harrisburg, Lancaster, York, and Lebanon.
I had been working in radio.
WGAR, Cleveland, Ohio. Jim Buchanan, WGAR.
Yeah, that's me, Slim Jim, 202 at the Big 1220. And if somebody asks what radio station you listen to, say 1220 WGAR. Give me a little Johnny Be Good and the Beach Boys. I'll be a happy man. It's Bob Seger on KBO with the thinnest man in Harrisburg radio.
Slim Jim Buchanan, WKBO.
And may I be the first to bid you a good afternoon. 2 minutes past 12. And coming up, less than 20 minutes.
In the early 1980s at Q106 in York.
Jim Buchanan, Q106.
At 4:36, I'm Jim Buchanan. If you want to get your home video game cartridge collection up to date, here's the top 5. Burger time.
I noticed that at that time, Channel 8 and WHP had added weekend weather people. Prior to that, the anchors were doing the weather. Someone would put symbols up on a magnetic board and just do a VO of weather and stats and the forecast. Gee, I wonder if 27 was going to do that, because I always sort of had an interest in doing weather. And I called my friend at 27 who was in sales. I said, hey, you guys going to add a weekend weather person? He says, well, I don't know. I'll see the news director and ask. And that was Steve Hamill at that time. And I got a call back within 5 minutes. Says, yeah, I just bumped into Steve in the hallway. He said, yeah, we're looking for weekend weather people. Give him a call. So I did. And he said, well, do you have any TV experience? No. Radio broadcast, yes. Do you have any weather experience? Just, layman interest in weather. Okay. He said, we have like 4 people that we already are interested in. They have weather background through the military, and we're going to kind of go with them and don't call us, call you kind of a thing. Then he said, now, would you be able to fill in for Chuck Rhodes? I said, well, I could on the 11 o'clock newscast, but not on the 6 because my radio shift was that. He said, well, we need someone to fill in for Chuck, blah, 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 and we'll keep you in mind. I hung up, but I called back 5 minutes. Look, Steve, I don't want to be pushy, but I can coordinate my vacation schedule with Chuck's. He said, well, that's really great. I appreciate that. How many weeks do you get off? I said, 2 weeks. Well, Chuck gets 4. So he was one of the don't call us, we'll call you. Well, they did in 4 weeks because these other people just didn't they didn't have any on-camera presence. So come in and do an audition. I said, great, did that and got hired at 27. Now, fast forward about a year, and CBS 21, or as it was called then, WHP-TV, I don't know who the weathercaster was, but left. And they brought in a guy by the name of Cliff Goodall, who was with the National Weather Service in Harrisburg. Now, those guys did, the weather radio. There were like 5 guys on staff. The office used to be on top of the federal building downtown Harrisburg. So they would do these broadcasts. And Cliff was kind of a character. And they thought, well, here's a guy who's well-known name weather-wise. He knows weather, and he's kind of funny. And let's put him on TV. Well, that didn't work either because he just didn't have any on-camera presence at all. Station manager was Don Yeiser. And I called Don and I said, hey, look, if you guys are ever interested in making a change, let me know. Well, a week later, he's on the phone and said, yeah, let's talk. And we had lunch, and they brought me on board with Cliff Goodall still there. And he was kind of pushed to kind of weekend duty. And I felt bad because it appeared like I, not me personally, but was pushing him out. I was an older retired guy, on television. And as it turned out, then he exited, and then I became full-time weather, and that was 84, I think, and then I was there till 91.
Jim Buchanan is here with the weather, and a nice day out. Didn't really need an overcoat.
Back and forth with the forecast, though. We have one day of clouds and maybe some sprinkles, and we go back to sunshine. Looks like the next 4 days are going to be filled with same kind of a situation. Right now, we've got mostly clear skies, and we're at 52 degrees. The humidity is at 46%. Winds doing nothing at the moment. They are calm, and our barometer is steady.
Okay. All right.
And then you were hired, RJ,
to do weekend and to do weekend weather and 3-day-a-week feature environmental reporting.
Well, all the bumpy weather's out of the way now. Most of the rain ending from the west to the east over central Pennsylvania. And yes, folks, a breath of fresh air on the way. You're going to like this weekend if you like autumn weather. Background for the current conditions is, whoa, the Capitol Fountain. Did it right on cue. Did you see that? Harrisburg 68, Carlisle 70, York 71, Lancaster and Lebanon 68, Newport 67 degrees.
I got to WHP in the autumn of 1990. It was my first signed contract in broadcasting. Okay. I had been 5.5 years part-time at WCIX-TV in Miami.
You guys are both wearing great-looking ties tonight, and it makes up for all the gloomy weather we've been having.
Yeah, most of the thunderstorms stayed inland today, and it looks like they'll be staying inland throughout the rest of the weekend. The Sky Show is produced by Mother Nature in South Florida, come in the form of thunderstorms. Well, the closer you go to the North and South Poles, it's different, a different phenomenon. This incredible wonder is called the Aurora Borealis, also known as the Northern Lights.
Brought under false pretenses. A lot of this is covered in previous episodes of Up and Down the Broadcast Trailer, episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, as to what brought me to Harrisburg. I got some great tape, and I started sending it out all across the country, not telling them that I'm looking for a job. And lo and behold, the one that bore fruit was WHP in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So I got the gig, got a signed contract, and within 2 weeks, the shit hit the fan.
Calm winds, a high tomorrow of 87. Clear again Thursday night, low of 65. Sunny and hot Friday, 89 for the high. An afternoon thunderstorm on Saturday as the front pushes through, high of 90. Clearing Sunday, 72 for the high. Monday, sunny, 69 degrees. That's the way it looks right now. Enjoy the summer weather while we got it.
It's like endless summer around here.
Yeah, for now.
For now. Thanks, RJ.
it was there was time. Well, in my experience. So what I had heard, the rumblings were, and this may not be true, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the FM accounting books, they had said they were making $1 million a year when in fact they were losing $1 million a year. And the WHP AM, FM, and TV was one of the last family-owned and operated stations in the country, groups in the country. And that was the last straw, apparently, for, what was it, the Stackpole family?
Yeah,
Stackpole,
that's right. Yeah.
The descendants of the Stackpole family are still running the thing, and they're like, that's it. You know, we're putting the whole place on the block. With that came the entire gutting of the place, and that's when I had arrived. I had been brought in with a whole host of other people, some with contracts, some without contracts, to take this perennial number 3 station and turn it into, at least go after WHTM Channel 27, which was across the street. And as soon as that happened, some people got there without contracts, hired by Steve Hunsinger as well. Steve Hunsinger had hired me, and they left right away. They were fired, actually.
Right.
And I remember going into, I was trying to think of his name, Joe Higgins. Was that the general?
Joe Higgins, yeah.
Okay.
The original, yeah.
So that was the older guy. They told everybody that nobody's going to lose their jobs, and 2 weeks later they did. Okay.
Yeah, and then everyone started getting fired.
Yes.
Well, Joe had left, and then they brought him back as the interim GM during that transitional period.
Yeah.
Being the hatchet man.
Yeah. Well, in my situation, they said no contract. You have to go back to the IBEW salary that you would have obtained after a 7-year period, which I think was a 25% salary cut.
Yeah.
Which obviously I was upset about. Went in to try to talk some sense with Joe Higgins about it, and he really didn't want to have anything to do with that. Although there were some other people who were successful to go in and talk and say, look, just forget this non-compete stuff and let's continue with a contract.
Right.
Unfortunately, that didn't happen with me, and I made some poor choices in my exit from 21. When I say poor choices, I looking back, I just should have accepted the IBEWs. Okay, do the best I could. And at that time, I could have, the non-compete wouldn't have worked anyway. I could have started to look for work across the street or wherever, but it didn't work out that way. I left and went into radio for a while, then back into TV, eventually, which wound up at 18 years at Fox 43.
And how hot was it today? We'll check some temperatures from Sky Spy agents and, of course, the official number, plus the 5-day forecast coming up next. You're watching Fox 43 News at 10, and we'll be right back.
But anyway, I digress here. We're talking about Joe Higgins. Very few people like Joe Higgins.
Well, I remember, and the reason why I brought up his name was because when I saw this writing on the wall, I had my first signed contract. I went into Joe Higgins' office, and I said, well, it looks like, you're getting rid of a lot of people here. I said, I have a 2-year contract. We have a choice here. You can either write me a check for the 2 years or I can get to work. He goes, let me see that contract. So he pulls up the contract. He looks and he saw how little I was getting paid. And he says, well, better get to work then. So for the next 2 years, with that hanging over my head, I knew I had to get really good at what I was doing with the clock ticking.
Severe thunderstorms started forming late this afternoon, knocking down trees and power lines again. Then came the tornado warning for South Hanover Township, north of Hummelstown in Dauphin County. News 21 viewer Cecil Hagenfeld picked up his camcorder and started rolling.
Looking out his back porch, Cecil says the sound alerts him that this is not just any ordinary thunderstorm. It's a tornado.
And then I, of course, saw some siding, parts of roof coming up over the hill. I'm on the south side of the knoll here, and of course all the damage is on the north side.
Damage indeed on the north side. About a dozen homes are pounded by the twister. Amazingly, no injuries reported. No one home at this house. Neighbors say they're on vacation. Ryan Smith was sitting on his waterbed in his bedroom when he spots the tornado.
Just the whole house just started sounding like it was going to blow up. and the bed started moving like this, and I look out the front window, and all I could see was the wind blowing and the glass coming in. So I stepped out of the way, and I walked downstairs, and everybody's screaming and yelling, "There's a tornado, there's a tornado."
Just down the street on Marion Lane, this house received some damage. Inside, Amy Johnson and her family when the tornado hits.
I can't believe it even happened. I mean, they always say Lancaster or big open fields. I never would have expected it to come through like my front yard.
Around 6:15, the tornado started in the Hanover Hills section just on the other side of One Glen Circle. The funnel cloud hit the house there on the corner and lifted its roof, picked it up, and moved it 1/8 of a mile and deposited it right down here on Margate Drive.
It was unbelievable. Our doors flew open. We got down because we thought our windows were going to burst. Glass flying, trash. Unbelievable.
Neighbors in this usually quiet suburban area aren't used to all the commotion and aren't used to tornadoes either.
I always thought tornadoes were Midwest, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska. I think now they're in Pennsylvania. My grandchild, one of them, he's 12 years old. He says, "I don't think we're in Kansas anymore."
And a little humor helps to start the cleanup and the recovery. I talked with all the people in the neighborhood there about what happened, Roxanne. No injuries reported, specifically because when they heard the tornado or the tornado warning on television or radio, they got into their basements.
They knew what to do, didn't panic, went right to the basement or someplace safe out of the way of it. Oh, my
And
goodness.
that wasn't the only place. Upper Strasburg reports of funnel clouds and tornadoes. Palmyra and North Anvil Township will have a complete report tomorrow night at 6 and 11 o'clock.
Phenomenal pictures that we've been seeing. Unbelievable stuff, and frightening too. Yeah. All right, we'll see a little bit later on for the forecast for the weekend. Right. Thanks, RJ.
Before I could get enough tape, to get enough fresh reporting, to do the best stand-ups, and I'm watching everyone's tapes, and I'm watching every other competitor and whatever I could get my hands on, and just soaking it up from people who'd been there before. How can I do this better? How can I do that better?
Last night on News 21, we spoke with a group of family and friends who were riding out the hurricane miles from the coast in South Miami. Moments ago, I spoke with Sandra McConnell on the phone, who survived Hurricane Andrew.
Windows were shaking and there was debris flying everywhere. I thought it was going to be worse than it was.
Now, 10 miles south of where you are received the full brunt of the storm. That's where the eye of the hurricane went over. We're seeing pictures off the satellite now where there's complete devastation. There's blocks of suburban areas where the homes are completely gone. Do you feel lucky in light of that information?
Of course, but you know, we don't have that information here because there's no lights, and what's going on in the radio, we don't know that it got that bad over there.
How do you think most people of South Florida will be able to survive over the next week without power, air conditioning? It gets very hot down there in the summer.
I think it'll be tough. It's already getting hot, and people's tempers are a little short on the streets, and even in the houses, you can tell, you know, tempers are short because it's hot down here. And it's funny, when you lose your electricity, you realize just how convenient of a world we live in.
Sandra McConnell of South Miami. The next few weeks, Gene and Roxanne, will be the most important because without power, electricity, no food, I think the worst is yet to come. The worst case scenario was a devastating hurricane like this. People are going to start getting real itchy when they start looking for food, and it's going to be quite a situation.
Billions of dollars in damages. Let me ask you this. When you made your call to Miami to talk to Sandra McConnell, did you get any of the due to the hurricane we can't get through?
Yeah, circuits are busy. It's very difficult to get through. It's being suggested that you wait for your friends who live down there to call you up here. The last count, at least 12 people dead in that area. I'm sure as the hours go on, the death toll will rise.
They cut my pay $8,000 a year. They put me back on weekends. They hired this Dr. Bill.
Oh, yeah.
To do the weather Monday through Friday, because, Jim, I had taken over when you left.
Right.
They put me on Monday through Friday weather, and they had no weekend weather person that I was aware of or that I can recall.
And they wondered why we were in third place for all these years.
Right.
Remember
Yes.
It's for good.
Well, and they changed that. Good. Oh. They changed that to "It's for you."
Yeah, I know, but originally it's for good.
It's for good, and they paid a lot of money to some PR firm to come up with that.
Probably some consultant.
The colors of the 80s, mauve and teal.
Yes, and purple.
So when they filed for bankruptcy, they started selling off the AM and the FM to another group, they were cutting costs wherever they could, not just staff and personnel, but we had that nice animated open and, you know, the nice music package that you get when you purchase one of those things to say, hey, we're showbiz.
Live from Central Pennsylvania's news leader, this is News Site 21 with Gene Lefley, Roxanne Stein, Jim Buchanan's weather, Kirk Gregory Sports, and the award-winning news team.
Well, they got rid of all that, and then they made the new logo and animation and opening and some generic music. They made those graphics on the weather computer, and it looked like it. They were, it was, you know, you could see the pixelized edges of it. It looked like some kid in high school made it.
I was just trying to find my way out of HP by then.
I don't remember it's for you. I only remember it's for good. When did it change to you?
That was all within just prior to my arrival, and then the arrival, and then 2 weeks later, the shoe dropped.
Okay. Well, I was there then. I just don't remember it. I guess it was 33 years ago. It was a long time ago.
I remember arriving and then being laid off shortly after. So I remember that wave of, and I went to WGAL for a year, and then
so how long were you at WHP, Amy?
Well, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I think I arrived and then 6 months later laid off, went to WGAL for a year, and then came back to WHP. So all told, probably, 5 years at WHP, and then 1 year in the midst of that, at WGAL.
The weird things about HP was that we were a union operation, and Jim, you can speak to that. I mean, we were IBEW, we were electrical workers, and not a lot of other smaller market stations in the country were like that. We had the union backing us, but at the same time, it was kind of holding some people back.
There's ways to get out of those contracts by the stations, even if you had a contract and even if you were union, by saying we're bankrupt. There's that fine print where they can say that sort of thing. What are the highlights, some of the things that jump out at you? I know since I started saying we were going to do this, I'm sure the wheels have been turning. Anybody want to jump in and talk about some of the things that jump out at you for your time there at Channel 21?
Well, we had some great parties. I remember those. Doug, you're in this picture. This is a Halloween party. I think this is Ron Plant. You remember Ron Plants?
Oh, yeah, Ron Plant.
And Gary Trentley.
Gary Trentley.
Yeah.
Jerry.
Was that in his house? Yeah, we're going to talk about Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry Trentley. And then this is Carl Springer.
Gosh. Yeah.
For those who don't know, who was Carl Springer?
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
Maybe he was there before you, RJ.
Yeah, what was he?
He did weather. He was the weekend weather guy.
He had his wife at the time.
Yes, right. So
whatever her name was, she changed her name to be different from his name.
Right.
So maybe it was because he left that there was the opening.
Well, I don't think so. Yeah. Myself, along with Kate McGargy. Albie Oxenrider. And
oh my goodness! I worked with him twice.
Wes Maley. Now this was the crew that I started with in '84. So
84,
yeah.
And Albie, I worked with him at Channel 4 in Pittsburgh.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Retired.
Yeah, he retired. He had some health issues, I do believe, and retired from Channel 11. He was at 11 for a while.
We did the telethons. Here's myself with Terry Garissi.
Terry Garissi. What's she up to?
Well, she was working at HAC as, I think, Public Relations, Harrisburg Area Community College. I think she's still there doing that.
Wow.
And her husband...
Jeff Gingrich.
Jeff Gingrich, yeah.
And he was a reporter.
These are all before your time, RJ, so...
Yeah. Well, that's all right. I mean, this isn't all about me. This is, but
it's not?
No, it's not. You noticed I got all of your stories before I said, then I showed up.
Yeah, that's right. Because we all were there before you showed up.
Yeah. Yes.
Here's Kathy Riley.
Oh, I remember her.
Albie Oxenrider.
Yes. Oh,
and then, of course, Gene Lepley was part of that team as well, along with Kurt Gregory. And I've been in touch with Kurt. He's retired now. He was with NBC television for years. And did,
Charlotte, wasn't he, down in North Carolina?
He was with the NBC news feed that, WJAR up here is an NBC affiliate. And, I'd always try to pump my stories down there. And one day Kurt Gregory answered the phone. He goes, "Is it RJ?" I'm like, "Kurt Gregory, what are you doing?" So,
there you go.
Yeah, so it was kind of fun.
Don't tell my heart, my breaking heart. Just don't think you'd understand.
I want to pick your brain a little bit, Jim and Doug, since you were there in the years leading up to when I got there. What were the ratings like? Was WHP a perennial number 3 in the 1980s?
This is WHP-TV 21, Harrisburg, York. Now, from the award-winning News 21 team, news, sports, and weather for Central Pennsylvania on News 21, the early edition.
A bizarre farming accident. Good evening, I'm Kate McGargy.
And I'm Charles Molyneux.
Yeah, pretty much so.
Yeah, exactly.
And at one time in the late 70s, around the time of 3 Mile Island and a little bit earlier than that, they were number 1 by far.
A nuclear safety group said that radiation inside the plant is at 8 times the deadly level, so strong that after passing through a 3-foot thick concrete wall, it can be measured a mile away. Gary Shepard reports from Harrisburg.
The accident occurred here at the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant, a dozen miles south of Harrisburg.
And then the change came across the street with HTM. I guess they changed their callers from WTPA to HTM, stands Harrisburg, Harrisburg Times Mirror, Harrisburg Times Mirror.
Oh, okay.
And then they just came on strong with a great anchor team, Rick Wagner.
Yeah.
WHTM Harrisburg. From Harrisburg's leading news station, serving Lancaster, Lebanon, and York, here's Rick Wagner, Craig Mace on sports, and Chuck Rhodes with weather. This is Channel 27 News.
Oh, yeah.
And I hate to crush any feathers, but people love Chuck Rhodes, too, as the weather guy.
Absolutely, yeah.
For whatever reason, he was funny.
Yeah.
Winter just won't go away. That story tonight.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, when I was over there, I was the first weekend weather guy, and Chuck was great in getting me on board there. So yeah, so they had a great team. Yeah, we were just a struggling third, always trying new things.
What is the latest at this point?
I'll check it.
It's very difficult to pinpoint one or two things. The weekend news from News 21.
This already seems to agree with the new governor.
Yeah, and I think the viewership knew that, and those guys stayed the same. And you said, RJ, we had several different news directors almost yearly after for that period from the mid 80s until whatever the 90s. It's just hard to have that cohesiveness when you're changing up all the time. Well, I was the weekday sports guy 3 times and the weekend sports guy 3 times in 9 years.
But then you
worked like a damn ping pong ball.
But then you worked with the Sinkovitz and also Albie, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I worked with Albie. Albie came right before me, and he left after a couple of years, went up to Scranton.
Right.
Before moving to Pittsburgh, and he became a household name there.
Oh, yeah.
Great guy. Great guy.
Well, WGAL was the only VHF in the South Central Pennsylvania market.
Yeah.
And they were the first one on the air March 18th, 1949. TPA, which WTPA-TV 27, which became WHTM, signed on June 19th, 1953. WLYH was October 1953.
In Lebanon.
Right, in Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that was the whole strange thing. The reason why there were all these clusters in the medium markets of UHF stations in Pennsylvania was because the peripheral markets all gobbled up the initial VHF stations. And by the early 50s, when the other people wanted to start a TV station, there were no allocations because the Channel 6 was Philadelphia, and WFIL-TV at the time, and then the other Channel 6 for separation was in Johnstown. So there were literally no VHF frequencies available. And when you have a challenged terrain like we had in South Central Pennsylvania, the coverage would stop after, a big mountaintop, Mount Gretna and all these places.
Right.
It'd bump in and people couldn't get CBS. So at one time, particularly in the 1960s, there were 3 CBS affiliates. WLYH, Channel 15 in Lebanon, 43.
SPA. That's
right, it was WSPA-TV. That became WPMT, is it?
Yeah.
When did WPMT come into existence, Jim?
Well, they claim to be the oldest UHF station in the nation now. So I don't know what year that was, but they started at WSPA-TV.
Right.
And I think I forget the company, the Mohawk Broadcasting, if I recall, back in the early 1980s, bought them, and they changed the call letters to WPMT, which meant Pennsylvania Movie Time.
Right, and
they did all these movies.
They dropped their CBS.
No idea that was that. Wow.
Yeah, and they dropped their CBS affiliation because
but they also still did a very modest, not very good news. They kept doing a newscast, which no one watched. But and then of course when they became the Fox affiliate, Fox seeded the top 50 markets to say, hey, we'll give you some money to do a 10 o'clock newscast. Would you be interested? And of course they were, and did the 10 o'clock, which, took off like hotcakes.
It's 10 o'clock. Time for Fox 43 News at 10. Your number one source for local primetime news.
Someone may die for the lack of communications.
Jim, what were some memorable highlights for you of being at WHP?
Well, one of the
good times and bad, and
And Doug, you're involved with this one. We did many times charity golf events, and I was out doing one, and there's a shot of, and you were doing sports, and this is the wrap up to sports. And something about, here we are, we're fortunate to be out at the so-and-so golf tournament. Hey, here's Jim Buchanan making a putt today. And the line was, you said, and Jim really knows how to get it in the hole.
Yes, I did.
Now, it led to a little bit of a sexual overtone, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
And Jeff,
I didn't mean anything by it.
Of course not.
And that was your last line, and then Jeff Gingrich and Kathy Riley, they just they just kind of lost it at the charge to chuckle and laugh. The video then went to a story about handicapped, physically challenged people Kathy Riley is laughing. Teasing this story while you see this physically challenged person moving and trying to talk. And of course, when we came back from the commercial break, she had to make an explanation and an apology.
Yeah.
But that was...
I remember that. Oof.
Yeah.
I wasn't laughing, but they couldn't stop.
I'm going to throw out some names here, and I want you to talk about what comes to mind. Jan Powers, she was a reporter there at Channel 21. She was fascinating. She was
a pistol. I remember that.
Yeah. And she'd always turn it, you'd give her a minute 30 and she'd turn in a minute package.
Yeah, something like that.
Usually it's the other way around.
Usually it's the opposite, but, whatever.
She had broad shoulders. She was just going for the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was a go-getter. She was a go-getter, and she got the story.
She did.
And turned it in 30 seconds late at a minute.
Did she have like a New York accent or something?
Some kind of accent.
You know what? Wasn't she from Salisbury, Maryland, or she worked in Salisbury, Maryland, or something like that?
Okay.
Yeah.
I loved her. I thought she was great TV.
Maybe she was New Jersey.
Susan Hensel. Susan.
Oh, the Capitol. Didn't she do the Capitol stuff?
She was the Capitol.
Long, tall Susan. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She's an attorney now. She actually got her degree, and I think she works for the Pennsylvania Gaming Commission, I think.
Oh.
I reached out to Facebook to try to track down Jan and Susan, but through Facebook, if you're not friends, you add them as a friend, and it comes up from my personal profile page. It's not the same as RJ High, my public figure profile page, so I don't know if they recognized it, and then it gets buried in a messenger. So I did try.
Some of you may remember Susan Court.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Susan Court.
She did the noon and morning.
And she came in from Johnstown.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up at Herco working for Hershey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was very smart.
And then Evan Forrester worked there for a period.
What is the latest?
Now, when did Evan leave?
He and his wife, Vicki, they went out to St. Louis, and they were out there for a while. And then when Fox 43 started the 10 o'clock newscast, they called him and said, hey, and they were going to come back to Pennsylvania anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great fit for them.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for Fox 43 News at 10. I'm Evan Forrester.
And I'm Sandra Bennett.
Because he's still there. He's still there.
He's still there.
Evan was the weekend anchor, correct?
I think so, yeah.
It was Doug. You were the weekend sports guy. Evan was the weekend anchor, and I was the weekend weatherman.
Right.
For a period of time there.
For a period of time. That's all you can ever say about HP, for a period of time. Jim, you were the weatherman for a long time, Jim. For HP, that was a long time.
Yeah.
Clearing in the south, and it should remain mostly clear for a good part of the evening hours, but the clouds will be moving in from this next system. You'll see cloudiness in the Ohio Valley. That'll be moving our direction.
It was like a 7-year stretch, which was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jim Buchanan's 4-day forecast.
Yeah.
Jim Buchanan's 4-day forecast.
Well, let me give you the skinny on that. In a conversation with Chris Fickus, we were talking about weather, and at that time said, yeah, once you get out to like the 5th day or 6th, well, a 6 or 7 or 7-day forecast was unheard of. No one was doing a 7-day and not even a 10-day at that time. Mm-hmm. And we thought, well, we could, 4 days are pretty accurate. So we said, well, let's try to be perception-wise more accurate within a 4-day period. It's kind of an alliteration, 4-day forecast. And so we started with that.
But little did they think that, everyone else has a 5-day forecast.
I know.
And it's like, well, we're really not that good at the 5th day forecast. So we're just going to keep it to 4. So already you're setting yourselves up in the minds of viewers that, well,
It wasn't a good idea, but we gave it a shot.
Some of the other names, Liz Giuliano, she was doing anchoring the noon, and a reporter.
Yeah,
she was a Spitfire too. She didn't take any guff.
And
she's in Dayton.
She moved to Dayton.
I'm pretty sure she's in Dayton. Yeah.
Oh wow!
I've been in contact with her
in television.
No, she's out of broadcasting.
No, she's not in television anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
I loved her.
We're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy.
What was and Amy? What was the place we used to go down? It was just down the street, kind of the R Bar.
The R Bar.
The R Bar. And what was the restaurant that was right next door too?
There was some after the 11 p.m. shows. There was some pounding of beers at that little bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the R bars. God, that was a real hole in the wall. That was so small.
Well, and that's why it was close by, because we needed a drink right away after the 11 o'clock show and all the turmoil we were going through. And it was before everyone spread out, going their different directions.
Also some jazz bars that we used to go to downtown. Club 21, I believe, was one. Doug, do you remember that?
Well, my favorite was the Metron.
Well, okay, Metron, yeah.
The Metron was a little devious. That was kind of a late night hunt. The great thing about it was you'd get off the news, you'd go in there, and they'd line you up a free drink. So why wouldn't you go?
Well, some of you may not know this, but Channel 21 in Harrisburg was not my first broadcasting experience in Harrisburg. My first one was I had graduated Temple University in Philadelphia, no TV jobs, which is what I wanted. So I went back to being a dirtball disc jockey on the radio, and I got the overnight shift at FM 97 in Lancaster. And as my program director at the time, he said, RJ, you have a lot of third shift workers and the bars close at 2 o'clock in the morning. Come up with some, fun comedic character that you can think of. And put it on at 2:10 in the morning. So I did. It was the Reverend Bob. That's covered in some of the other ones. Well, I get up there, I'm saying, boys and girls, you've been sinning bad, haven't you? And people would call in with questions, why do firemen have long hoses? And, so I was like this bumbling radio reverend. And it took all, people were setting their alarm clocks to wake up and listen to this thing.
Let's all raise our hands in honor of Tuesday. Come on, 2 fingers. Not 1, I said 2 fingers. Give me 2 for Tuesday, cause we're getting closer all the time. Yes, indeed.
He had promised me when if I did the overnight shift, I'd get the first daytime shift that opened. Well, this Reverend Bob thing took off, and it was a good lead-in. People would leave their radios on FM 97. And so they'd wake up and it helped the ratings for the morning show. So he passed me over for the first daytime shift that came up, and I was pissed. So I was under a contract, but I changed my name, heard about an opening, and got a job at Hot Hits Fire 14 WFEC in 1983.
WFEC 14 forecast. Some morning fog, occasional rain today. High of 67. Rain continuing on and off tonight. Low of 62. Rain on Sunday. High of 68. East winds at 12. 90% humidity. Temp 63. WFEC Hot Hits. WFEC.
Oh, so you were at Hot Hits for a while.
But I changed my name. It wasn't RJ Heim because I was still under contract. When you're in your 20s, you're brazen and you just do shit.
Yeah.
What was my name? Robert Walker was my name.
You're listening to a brand new Hot Hits survey on WFEC. We're going to count them down at noontime today. This is Robert Walker from number 19 last week to number 5. That's the Human League. WFEC.
1 to 4 p.m. and then 2 to 6 p.m. That only lasted 6 months. And at some future podcast, I'm going to get into what really happened there. But I had met Chris Shearer, who was hired as a DJ at WFEC, and he had just left Channel 51 in Reading as a chief engineer, or one of the engineers there. And he said, RJ, I hear they're going to try a newscast one more time. I said, I'm putting on my suit and you're taking me out there and I'm going to finagle my first job into TV. They didn't have a budget for a weatherman. This is covered in some of the other episodes, but I wound up getting my first job in TV at Channel 51 in Reading.
In Reading, wow.
I was there for a year and a half, and then I went down to Naples, and then I went to Miami, and every place I've been, the ceiling opens up or the floor drops out.
People made a lot of promises to you, RJ, haven't they?
Well, I don't trust them. When you're younger, you trust people. Oh, work for me for a full year. I'll give you a full-time job. Oh, okay, handshake. I'm a man of my word. That's how I was brought up.
Yeah.
But apparently the broadcasting business doesn't work that way.
No.
But, so we would do those hot hits nights at the Metron.
Oh boy. the Metro.
Yeah, those were
fun times. And then I left, and then I just by chance I got the job at HP. So I'm like, okay, this is my second stint in Harrisburg. It lasted 2.5 years. 2.5 years. Some of the other names, Roxanne Stein.
Roxanne.
Hi, everybody. I'm Roxanne Stein. Also tonight, the cleanup at a Lebanon County laboratory is still in the planning stage as officials from the Environmental Protection Agency hold a public meeting tonight. We'll tell you what happened. More after this.
Roxanne.
I remember Roxanne when I was growing up. She was on Channel 11.
Same. And I remember just like she was Roxanne Stein. I couldn't believe that I was working with her. I'm sure you felt the same way.
Yeah.
When she had been at 8 for so many years.
Yeah, she had been at WGAL Channel 8 in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And she left for Pittsburgh, where Pam, you saw her on Channel 11.
Right.
And then she went to Chattanooga. And then there was a search to replace Kathy
Riley. Yeah.
When my husband and I talked about moving back to the area, we thought it would be nice to be somewhere where I grew up and things were familiar.
I've been in central Pennsylvania for years now, moved my family here. They love it. I love it. I want my children to grow up here. I never want to leave.
From what I recall, I didn't see these promos, but to promo that someone was coming, that they,
Right, they hit it. They hit the
back of her head.
Yes.
Yeah.
To guess who is this going to be?
Yeah.
Well,
I just remember she came in and she was kind of hot stuff, and she thought she was, and I think some people were ticked off because somebody heard that she got a big contract, and we were, just basically making ends meet.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a tough situation to go into, but kudos to her agent and kudos to her for parlaying her Channel 8 background and legacy into a fat paycheck.
Right. And of course, if it worked and we went from 3 to 2 or 1, then nobody would have complained.
Right, but there were other systemic problems.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
At WHP. So it wasn't like it was her fault that it didn't work.
Well, the other thing was I don't know who the consultant was who was working with Hunziker, but there was a consultancy firm that came in that was instrumental in getting her hired.
Right.
And who was the male anchor that at that time then?
Wasn't it Gene Lepley?
Was it Gene? Gene was still okay. So little did I know that this consultant, unbeknownst to me, they were looking for a Penn State meteorologist. They wanted to do a Penn State connection because Roxanne was from Penn State.
Okay, yeah.
And little did I know that I was on the chopping block to be ousted to bring in a Penn State meteorologist, a TV weather person. Was it fortunately, that's when the station went for sale.
Yeah.
And so that whole thing fell apart, and they were just trying to get salaries down to where, and that was one of the reasons why, not that I was making a ton of money, but they weren't going to renew my contract.
Right.
At that particular salary. Because of that, I was able to stretch out, I think, for another, maybe a year at the station before eventually left.
Gene Lepley.
Gino.
Yeah. When did Gene leave? He went to Richmond, right? Thereafter.
Yeah, he went down to Richmond and had worked for a while, and then he became part of the police department, their PR department. Gene was a great guy. I mean, Jim and myself, we all golfed together. Kirk Gregory, Jim Sinkovitz, there's another name.
Yeah.
He was part of that gang. He was a good guy. He's a good guy. He's not dead.
He was a solid anchor.
In Pennsylvania, Republican Terry Punt was the big winner in the high-stakes race of the 33rd State Senate District.
Oh, yeah.
A really nice
and a genuine person, too. You could talk.
Yes, he was.
He could be reasonable. He wasn't, in my experience, stuck one way, it's his way or the highway, like some of the others, no names.
He was
right.
Who will remain nameless?
You want to name names? Go for it.
No.
Everyone remembers Trotty, the front desk secretary.
I do.
Yes.
And she had.
Oh gosh.
Well, I'm not going to go into real details, but she had this. Julie Elliott, call the switchboard, please.
Oh, yeah.
Julian Elliott, call the switchboard, please.
There's always characters like that.
So, Albie does the Bart Simpson thing and calls Trotty I'm looking for a Mr. Hunt.
Oh, no. We all know where this is going.
Yeah, we do.
So, and the thing is, Albie said he was going to do this and to listen throughout the day. And sure enough, Trotty did it. And the newsroom just erupted and when, it was
I remember
crazy.
that.
Yeah.
Well, so there are a couple of stories. There were good times there, but there are two that stick out. They need to be acknowledged and hashed over if any of you are willing to. I came to terms with my sexual orientation when I was in Miami. Okay, I mean, I had girlfriends in college, but I know which way my orientation is, and my orientation is gay. Okay, so technically I'm bisexual, but that's, maybe we'll edit that part. I don't know. But I do recall when there was talk in the newsroom, technical staff and some of the other people, and I was confronted with that by some of the, how do we say, very, very Christian. I'm not sure if they were born again Christians, but I was in the darkened studio because the weather office was out towards the back, and I'm walking through, and one of the technical persons comes up to me and he says, "RJ, how you doing?" I'm like, "Good, how are you?" He goes, "Listen, so there have been some rumblings. There's been some talk." I'm like, about what? They said, "Well, let me just start off by saying it's not the sinner, it's the sin." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, we heard that you're gay, so we're praying for you." It's like, I'm sorry. First of all, this is like totally out of line and totally inappropriate. And so
there was no HR there. I mean, I'm in HR now, so there was no HR there.
No, there was no HR, and this was still, pre a lot of the stuff that came out later on in the 90s. I mean, the other stations I worked at, we had these crude blooper reels that would air at the holiday parties, and no holds were barred. It was, it was misogynist and, all that sort of thing. So this was just before all that stuff started to happen. So we got into this conversation because I wasn't going to just let it go at that. And he starts saying, "Well, it says in the Bible." I said, "You know what? It doesn't say that in the Bible." And we went to this whole thing. I said, "I want you to show me that's the King James Version." And the words have been changed. He goes, "Well, I'll find out." And he pulls out his Bible dictionary and he says, "Well, it doesn't go back." I said, "Find the original passage where it says that stuff." And he brought up the specific passage. "The revilers, the drunkards, the homosexuals won't see the kingdom of heaven," he said. And I said, "I don't think that's what it really says. Look it up in your Bible dictionary and get back to me." And that's how it ended. A week later, he comes up to me, he goes, "Well, RJ, the word that as far back as we could tell was not homosexual." I said, "Aha." I said, "What was the word?" He goes, "Catamite." I said, "Well, look up the word catamite in your Bible dictionary." And he did, and it said it was a young man who sells himself sexually to older men. I said, "How is that homosexual?" And he didn't have an answer for me, and that was the end of the conversation. To be put in a situation like that, where people feel emboldened to confront other people about their private lives, it's nuts. Now, I wasn't in the closet, but I was not the head at the pride parades either. I lived my life as everyone else lived.
Well, it wasn't the appropriate place to approach you. If you had some concern outside of the building, okay, you want to have a conversation. Inside them, no. So,
frankly, I don't think it's any of his business or her business, whoever approached you. And they're not God. Nobody should play God.
No.
Look, HP made plenty of mistakes. I mean, that's just another one.
Doug, your phone flipped. You're kind of sideways now.
Oh, boy. I don't know why. Now I'm back. No, I'm back.
Hey, there we go.
Guys, I'm heading to Cape Cod right now. I left Boston. I'm driving and probably illegal here.
Okay. All right. While we're kind of in that vein on that topic, the fast forward to the year after that, there was no green room, as I recall. where, the talent could go put on their makeup. So it was the men's room, right past the news director's office on the left, 2 sinks, 2 urinals, and a toilet. And so that's where we'd have to put our makeup on, right? So I'm in there getting ready for the show, putting on some pancakes just to take off the shiny spots. An employee will say, no names, comes in, "Why did you leave Miami?" I was like, "Because I was part-time in Miami for 5.5 years. Not that it's any of your business. And I needed to work full-time. And I got a signed contract, and I took a step back to a media market, and it's my home area. And my parents live down in Gettysburg. So it's far enough away where I don't have to be in Gettysburg all the time. But, close enough where instead of getting on a plane." So I told this person that. And he goes, "I don't believe you." And he starts rifling through my DOP kit where, my makeup, toothbrush, and stuff. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Right." He goes, "You have AIDS, don't you? You have AIDS. Are there AZT pills in here? There's AZT pills. I'm sure of it." And I was like, "Get the out of my face and get out of my DOP kit. And you're totally inappropriate."
Wow.
Wow, that wouldn't fly today.
It wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't. But I'm only telling these stories so people can see what some of the challenges are of being anybody on TV, where other people feel emboldened to say whatever they want, to crawl up your keister, no pun intended. The AIDS crisis was breaking at that time. It had been crawling up in the 80s, and it started reaching its peak, and Reagan only mentioned it. He didn't talk about it for years. That momentum that was building, and people felt emboldened to push back.
I think there's a lot of fear. That's fear at the time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because the people didn't know how to catch it and all this type of stuff at the very beginning,
I remember
there was a guy on radio named Bruce Bond, and he was a very hot jock in the afternoon, and he had a big audience, and he would pick on anybody in TV, and I think it was mainly because we were on TV and he wasn't.
Right.
And he had his own troubles later on in life, but he would pick on me. I'd be running in that Harrisburg mile. Remember that 1 mile run down the Susquehanna, and he would make comments and try to get you on the air and try to dig at you. And I just remember guys like that on radio just picking on us. Not that radio's nothing; radio's great. It's just.
But that was his shtick. That was his shtick.
It's the same kind of shock jock stuff that they do, where it's controversial, and controversy turns into listeners,
right?
Regardless of who they're saying it to. So in the time I was doing the weather Monday through Friday.
Now the News 21 weather report with RJ.
What a wild weather day. Thank goodness most of the wild weather is out of the way. Now, we had some reports from residents along the northern edge of Harrisburg along the city line. They said they saw funnel clouds. Most likely they were microbursts.
Bruce ran in circles of mutual friends of mine. So, we'd have a beer at some of the clubs downtown with the mutual friends. And he said, "Why don't you come over, in the afternoon and plug that you're going to do the weather tonight?" This was after you had left, Jim. So I go on, give the weather, and it'd promote Channel 21 free of charge, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Fast forward to after I left Harrisburg, and I got up here to Channel 10. We became an NBC owned and operated station, and Bruce had my phone number. So he called me up the day after the weekend where I filled in on the Today Show.
Hi, Giselle. Hi, everyone. Boy, it's nice to be out here, huh? It's nice and muggy. It's warm and muggy. We had temperatures here in the 80s yesterday, a big change on the way.
So we were an owned and operated station, and I got the call. The main weekend person doing the weather on the Today Show on the weekend had called in sick. The backup person had to be rushed to the hospital, and they needed somebody. So I got a call on Friday, and they flew me down, and I did the Today Show for a day, Very cool. And interestingly enough, it was one of the anchors in Miami who I had worked with, Giselle Fernandez.
Let's look at the news this Saturday morning, and now R.J. Heim of WJAR in Providence is with us this morning with the weather. R.J., how are you?
It's good to be here.
Good to have you here.
Good to work with you again.
You folks were together before
Miami days when we were babies.
Okay, now smile. Do you mind?
It's worth 1,000 words.
I forgot to roll my VCR at home, so I figured why not. Hey, it's been warm and muggy in the Northeast.
For October.
That's right, and in the Mid-Atlantic states as well, but a big change coming in the weather. Take a look at what's going on. First, Tropical Storm Roxanne. Remember that? Well,
She was the weekend anchor on the Weekend Today show with Jack Ford. So it was weird that Giselle and I are there from the old Channel 6 days. But I got back after that weekend. They had no one to fill in for me on Channel 10 that night, so I did the Saturday morning on the Today Show. The weather was bad. The only way I could get home to be on the air at 6 p.m. In Providence, but I couldn't fly back because of the weather. So they gave me a car. They gave me a limousine and drove me from New York back to Providence. So, and I was on the air, and everyone was like, yeah, I mean, it was a nice feather in the cap. It was fun to do that. After that experience, though, I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to do that. I don't know if I'd want to do that full time.
Right.
You just fork over your whole life. I mean, when I got to Channel 10 in Providence, I had worked at TV stations like WHP that no one had watched before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were the perennial number 3, so it never showed up in the cue sheets, and the ratings weren't always so great. Then I got to Channel 10 in Providence, the dominant number 1 legacy station, and my life turned upside down. I mean, within 2 weeks, everyone, RJ, this kind of stuff, and it's difficult. There's no guidebook on how to deal with that sort of thing. But so I get a call from Bruce Bond while I'm at home. He's like, "You're live on the radio." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And what's the first thing he says is, "I saw you on the Today Show. How'd you get that?" I'm not sure if it was that phone call or a subsequent phone call. He wanted to patch me in. He goes, "Where's Roxanne Stein now? She left Channel 21. Where is she?" I'm like, "I don't know. I think she's Chattanooga. I think she was at Palm Beach."
Palm Beach.
Florida.
He got the call letters. He gets the phone number. I'm on the phone with Bruce live on the air, and he cold calls. "Oh, is Roxanne Stein there?" "Yes, hold on, please." She picks up. "Hi, this is Bruce Bond. You're live on Wink 104, and RJ Heim is here too. And how come you left Harrisburg?" And, so it was kind of this needling stuff. He got nasty. "You were never very good at Channel 21. I mean, I can't recall what he said, but it was so insulting. And she hung up.
Yeah.
And I haven't spoken with Roxanne since then. But I wanted to apologize to her.
Jim says.
I had nothing to do with that. I wasn't setting you up. I didn't know he was going to say that. So, Roxanne, if you do get to watch this, that wasn't my doing, and I'm sorry I was part of it. There's a couple of points I want to get to. Jerry Trentley.
Yeah.
What an amazing person he was. He was the nicest guy, the hardest working, the artistic chief photographer.
He's very talented. Yes, very talented.
Mm-hmm. and a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had a bit of an edge to him. He listened to Rush Limbaugh a lot, and so he'd start picking up on some of that stuff when we're traveling. You have to go down to Lancaster, to do a story, and you have to get it on the air back in Harrisburg. So we had a lot of time in the car together. That really hit me. What are your recollections of Jerry?
Well, I worked with him, not exclusively, but he was the photographer I worked with the most. I was very, very close with him. The consummate professional. He was superb at what he did. There was no other Jerry Trentley when it came to creations. He was incredible, but just a good guy all the way around.
Yep.
He was so respectful of everybody. I think about him all of the time. I have so many different pictures. Doug, we've talked about him a lot over the years.
Mm-hmm. I remember he had those famous barn parties.
Yes.
Up at his house.
No, he lived in Mifflin Township, northern County.
Jim Thorpe?
I don't know.
It wasn't not that far north.
Not that far north?
It was up over the hill.
Yeah, up over Peters Mountain, up that way.
Yeah. He always had to have his Diet Cokes with him. That was his
And he claimed before he passed away that Diet Diet Coke is part of what gave him the problems he had. So I didn't stop drinking Diet Coke, but I always remember he said that to me. He thought that the artificial sweeteners and things are not good for us.
Well, I thought about that too. I think it's out there that he had died of brain cancer. There was another photographer at Channel 10 who was in his 40s who died of brain cancer as well. You know, I'm no doctor or anything, but there are health problems that people have developed over the years. The first microwaves that came out, people have had birth defects if they were pregnant, if they were close by. But photographers hold that camera on their shoulder, their head with all that equipment and stuff.
My dear friend out here in Cleveland, who's at Channel 3 and has been very open, she's had 2, maybe 3 brain surgeries. She too. So I think there's something there, and I'm surprised there hasn't been more studies or some sort of investigation regarding what the connection is.
Yeah. One final caveat, if anyone else has more about Jerry Trentley. He was such a stand-up guy, and he knew, because we'd have time to talk in the car a lot. After I got up here to Channel 10, my news director, Ted Canova, said, RJ, do you know the best photographer? I need the best photographer to come join our staff. And Jerry Trentley was the first guy that came to mind. So I called him up. He's like, no. I'm a Pennsylvania boy. I love it here. So I'm trying to sell him on Channel 10's the #1 station. More people need to see your work. You're the best that there is. And, you know, he was so complimentary and thankful, but he just kept saying no and kept saying no. Then he did reach out. It wasn't that same phone call, but he called up and he just said, I wanted to apologize on behalf of how poorly you were treated when you were at WHP.
Aww.
Just a cold call. Just a cold call to say that.
Yeah.
That's Jerry.
Yeah. We miss him.
Yeah.
I wasn't a video kind of person. In fact, I very seldom even did any stories. But one thing I did learn is just by watching. I mean, he was able to just do just these wonderful stories just with video.
Right.
There's no voice.
Photographer piece. Right. A photographer.
Correct.
I was like, wow, that's really, an emotional piece. Just the way he shot things and.
Yeah, he didn't need a reporter to bring a story to life.
No.
And at that time, that was new.
Yes, right.
He did, this video
essays.
Yeah.
I was there for one of his holiday parties. Okay. Now, apparently there'd been a number of them prior to my arrival. And they're like, yeah, come on up. But I was the new kind of outsider, right? I hadn't been there that long. So,
we didn't want to talk to you.
No, well, I mean, it often happens. It happens when new people come in and there's been, a certain core of people, and then the new person comes in and, and maybe ruffle some feathers or say things that they shouldn't say. At that holiday party I went to, there was a keg. And the beers were flowing, and the beers were flowing, and the beers were flowing. There was always a band there, right? And it was a lot of the people who were from the TV station playing the music for the band. So as everyone got tanked, someone started the impromptu Walk on the Wild Side, Lou Reed song, and going up there and spontaneously, I think it was the precursor to rap, making up our own words to Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side with Channel 21 WHP as the focus. And it was like, it said, hey, Joe Higgins, take a walk on the wild side. Were any of you there for that one?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
I don't either, but I do remember, having a few beverages there. That's for sure. I mean, it was a great spread. You could wander around. You could be private if you want, or in the kitchen if you want, or out where Steve Kearns and the guys were playing the music.
Let me tell a quick story about Pammy June. That's what we called Pam. We called her Pammy June. director.
Is that your middle name? Is
It's
June your
Pamela.
middle name?
It's Pamela June. Yes.
Oh, okay, good. That makes sense then.
That's why we called her. That's why we called her Pammy June.
Oh,
And I love Pam. I still love her. I love Marnie staying here. She was a director, and one weekend, so the producer and the director, the producer was often in touch with the CBS news feed.
Andrew. I want to say it was Phone. He was a British guy.
Andrew Phone, Phone.
Oh yeah, I loved it when he called. I like a British accent. So
right. So we spent a lot of time on the phone. I'm trying to pump CBS my stories, and he said, "Why don't you guys come up for a weekend?"
So we did.
So we packed up the car. We got one hotel room, 2 beds, Marnie and Pammy, and the other one, and me in this one, and we went and met Andrew Phone for dinner, and then we went out clubbing.
Yeah.
You know, we had the time of our life.
We had a really great time.
I have pictures.
Still have pictures. Remember we sat in Dan Rather's chair?
Yes.
And we have a picture in Dan Rather's chair.
And then we're driving. There was a bus, family charter bus going somewhere. And as we're heading up, we see the New York skyline. You look on the side of the bus, and it says RJ's.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God! I think I even got a picture of it.
I think you did. Yeah.
So the reason why I bring that up is as we're driving back to Harrisburg, we only stayed one night. It was Sunday. We're driving back. Yeah. We're listening on the radio, turning in, Hurricane Andrew is poised to impact South Florida. I was like, now, I was doing that hurricane series. One of the reasons I wanted to get out of there was because I'm part-time here.
Scale of 1 to 5, Gustav is a 1 with winds of 80 miles an hour, and Hortense was born early this morning, just a tropical storm, and that's moving north. We're going to focus on Gustav in just a second. Right now, we'll focus on those current conditions over South Florida.
You know, I'm not going to be a sitting duck sticking my ass out the window for these people if they don't even believe enough in me to give me a full-time gig.
Right.
I escaped, and it wasn't that first year. It was the next year. We're coming back from New York, and we hear all this stuff. I get home, my answering machine couldn't hold any more messages. A lot of my friends from down in Florida are like, RJ, are you sticking pins in a voodoo doll up there or what?
My goodness.
So then I took a lot of my old tapes. They were a CBS station in Miami as well. We were a CBS station. So I went through my tapes. I had contacts. I had exclusive connections and inside, I was making phone calls, and I put this coverage on Channel 21, and I was always asking for more time. Pammy June, give me another minute. I really need this for this story.
Now becoming clear that this has been a devastating hurricane. A 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew has been ordered by Dade County Manager Joaquin Avignon in the wake of Hurricane Andrew. These pictures show the damage. As the winds died down this morning when the storm moved away, looters moved in. The cities of Cutler Ridge, Perrine, and Homestead were at ground zero. An entire mobile home park with more than 400 structures was completely destroyed as the eye passed overhead. The road to Homestead is strewn with debris. The battered City Hall sign says it all. Near Homestead is a small town called Gould's, a farming town south of Miami. Cries from residents ring out in the aftermath.
Send the president! We need him! We got a disaster area!
With no police in sight, South Dade County becomes the Wild West, where business owners guard their shattered stores from looters with guns. But Miami wasn't as hard hit as the rest of Dade County. The water level of Biscayne Bay did not rise to its feared height of 18 feet. But there was plenty of damage from the winds. After smashing southeast Florida, Hurricane Andrew maintained its strength over the warm marsh of the Everglades. Next stop, the southwest coast, only 100 miles away. From WCPX-TV in Orlando, we pick up the story from Shepard Smith in Naples.
The big one hit and split and for hours refused to quit. Andrew's winds gust to 100 miles an hour here, peeling and twisting the bark right off helpless trees. Many did not survive at all. Others formed roadblocks.
Last night on News 21, we spoke with a group of family and friends who were riding out the hurricane miles from the coast in South Miami. Moments ago, I spoke with Sandra McConnell on the phone, who survived Hurricane Andrew.
windows were shaking, and there was debris flying everywhere. I thought it was going to be worse than it was.
Now, 10 miles south of where you are received the full brunt of the storm. That's where the eye of the hurricane went over. We're seeing pictures off the satellite now where there's complete devastation. There's blocks of suburban areas where the homes are completely gone. Do you feel lucky in light of that information?
Of course, but you know, we don't have that information here because there's no lights, and what's going on in the radio, we don't know.
Sandra McConnell of South Miami.
And we had, if I must say so, we had the best Hurricane Andrew South Florida coverage in central Pennsylvania because of the video and the contacts that I had. Right. At one point, I think it was on the second day, Roxanne takes me aside and she goes, RJ, the coverage has been great, but you need to stop. I was like, what are you talking about? What's going on? And she spilled the beans. She said, they've hired a new weatherman and you're going back to weekends.
Ooh.
And that's how I found out.
Oh, Roxanne, wow.
So who did they bring in?
Dr. Bill.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I can't even picture him.
I don't remember him either. Was that after?
He was kind of an anomaly, if you will. Kind of Mr. Middle America, Mr. Middle Average, Mr. Middleweight, Mr.
No hard feelings, right?
No,
probably not.
No,
it's for good. Come on.
It's for you.
Well, speaking, that time they also started to do weather outside.
Yes.
And Bruce Bond and his gang would come down and throw snowballs.
His henchmen.
And then they put up this barrier or a fence, and they people were still hurling in snowballs over top while Dr. Bill was, whatever his name was.
Whatever it take to get ratings, bring on the snowballs.
Well, that's a good question. And where are the ratings today at the Harrisburg market?
Sometimes they've been winning the 11 o'clock show. They've quite often beat Channel 27. Now with all the cable penetration and, not that over-the-air UHF kind of thing anymore. If people were watching CBS in South Central Pennsylvania, they watch shows. Some of the other names that jump out. John Learsoff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, photographer. Yes.
He was a sweater. He would sweat a lot.
Yeah.
He was good. He was a big guy. He was a big guy. And he'd wear these, flannel shirts in the middle of summer.
Wasn't he the union president, too?
Yes, he was.
At one time, yes.
Or the rep or whatever, yeah.
He baked the most amazing cakes, do you remember?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Like a chef on the side.
We did the lottery.
The Pennsylvania Lottery. Good evening. It's time for the live lottery drawings for Thursday, October 13th, 1994. Tonight's drawing official is Kim Troutman, and our witness is Galen Brandt. First, the daily number. Draw the first digit, please.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Mark Hoffman did a lot of it, but I remember filling in, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Jim did it, and after Jim left, I did it.
Yeah.
I did it.
And that happened. There was a guy who did the lottery for them for years. I guess radio or TV personality, in the 60s. And this guy, he didn't show up. Like 2 times he never showed up.
Oh, God.
And the newscast is done. They said, hey, Buchanan, get in here. You got to do the lottery. He said, what? I've never done this. And I read it and, did it and came off okay. And they said, hey, would you want to do it on a regular basis? And sure.
So it was serious shit. It was tough because they had to vet you and they had to stay.
Sure.
Check because there had been
stuff that happened.
There had been a scandal prior to HP getting it, where someone injected one of the ping pong.
Yeah, it was out of TAE.
Yeah, it was out of Channel 4.
Yeah, Channel 4.
A lottery on April 24th, 1980. The grand jury says Plevel was the inside man. The 666 number resulted in a record $3.5 million payoff, and officials say Perry masterminded the scheme.
the ritual that they went through every day were bringing in the senior citizens, and then they went over to eat in the cafe, and then they come back and measure the balls. Three times.
And it was kind of fun because it was carried on every TV station in Pennsylvania that was doing the Pennsylvania lottery. I put it on my resume. But from what I understand, the people don't look at that as a feather in your cap. But in Pennsylvania, it was.
It is. That's a big.
I'm doing the lottery VO, and my news director up here who hired me goes, "Oh, so you did the lottery too?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was great." He's like,
"So just about all of us did the lottery." Amy, you did the lottery?
Yeah, a couple times. They didn't want to mess up the lottery.
It was a fun gig because they were actually paying like $20 a shot, right?
That's right. It was extra money. It was extra money.
Are they still doing that there?
No, they do it at WITF now.
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay.
The boogie say up, jump the boogie to the bang, bang, boogie, let's rock. You don't stop, rock the rhythm that'll make your body rock.
I just wanted to throw out a few more names. Steve Kearns, I tried to get him to be part of this. He goes, I've got a lot of wars going on right now. So he works apparently for the government and he PR. So I don't know.
Well, if Steve was on, no one would get a word in edgewise. God love him. I love him to death, but
it was a blessing.
Dave Carlin.
Jim Buchanan says our December days are going to feel a lot more like March. He'll have that mild forecast for us.
And Doug Sivko says a little arm twisting may have moved up minor league baseball's contract.
Join us next.
He's at CBS now in New York, isn't he?
He's at Channel 2, WCBS in New York. I tried to reach out to him. Our paths cross once in a while, but
I don't know whether I saw him or whatever. I thought, I wonder if that's the same guy. And I'm like, my God, it is. He used to make me crazy when he did the noon. I would be shouting in his ear, I remember. Oh, my.
The state has created quite a burden for long-term health care providers. Up next on News Site 21, we'll take a look at the financial crisis and what it could mean for nursing homes.
What was it?
He never followed direction.
I remember the name, but I don't remember.
I don't remember him at all.
Yeah, probably was rap and maybe a little bit stronger language. I'm not sure if he wasn't listening to me.
Listen.
He must have been good if he's in New York now.
He must have been.
I'm looking for, and all the rest of you think about it, any song from that era that comes to mind of when you were at Channel 21. Any songs that come to mind?
By the time I got into television, my interest in pop radio just evaporated. So I don't remember too many songs from that I really liked from the mid to late 80s. I don't know.
I mean, Live Aid came on then, so any of those songs would have worked.
Yeah.
Madonna was big then.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because she made the headlines for some videos she made.
One song does pop in mind, and it was one of the first rap songs with the Sugar Hill Gang. What rap song was that?
Rapper's Delight.
Everybody go hotel, motel, holiday inn. See if your girl starts acting up.
Rapper's Delight. I do remember like Jerry Trentley and some of the photographers coming in and just repeating all the lines from that. And I was like, wow. Right. So.
Oh my God.
Doug, we have a close-up of your ear right now.
Please, no, because I'm getting gasoline.
Oh.
I've got to be at the theater. I'm in a play. Sister Act.
Final thoughts on your time there, how time marches on, lessons learned.
There were some really great people that came through there. Even that we all kind of stuck together because we were all in such a bad situation many times. So that bonds people. That's what I kind of retake back from my time in Harrisburg.
Jim?
We were in our, mid-30s at the time, or?
Oh, wow. I was in my mid-20s. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Finally, with learning time, I learned later that I should have handled the contracts negotiations much differently. It was just a bunch of great people to work with.
Yeah.
Amy?
I loved my time there, other than the unsettling business side of everything and switching stations and so forth and the uncertainty with news directors. But I had a great time, great friends. The holidays we had to spend together, we made the best of. I think your early years with a television station are very special.
Doug?
Look, I think we're pretty lucky. I think, there was only maybe 7,000 or 8,000 people in broadcasting back then, and it's a lot more now, and it's a lot more bifurcated. So I felt very lucky to be on TV, to be anywhere. And I moved up from Wilmington, North Carolina, which was market 160 to like 45 or whatever Harrisburg was. I thought, wow, I've hit the big time. So I was very grateful to be a part of HP and WPMT.
Personally, it was a great experience. The highs, the lows, the good points, the bad points, and had none of it happened like it did, I wouldn't have wound up where I did for 30 and a half years. I mean, I have a front row seat at life, a career in the arts, a creative, communicative outlet. How fortunate were we? Now, that wasn't given to all of us. I mean, we worked hard for it, and we busted through the walls, the setbacks, the triumphs, the tragedies, all of it. But I look back on it and I'm like, that was pretty good stuff.
Yeah, well, and at my time at CBS 21 or WHP, what we call it at the time, that was my first full-time weather gig. So that was really cutting edge. And how fortunate, I'd look back and think, myself, Chuck Rhodes, Rob Dixon, and four people in the entire market were doing what I'm doing. And so when I thought about it that way, so how fortunate that I'm one of those four people to do what I've always thought I'd like to do. And like RJ, my basis was radio, and then expanded into television. So yeah, that 7-year period was fantastic. And then, like Doug said, later on, that led to 18 years at Fox 43.
Well, listen, thank you all for participating, for sharing your thoughts, your feelings, the good times, the bad, and I love you all for it. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for putting it together. Thanks for coming out. And
good time.
Best of luck with your TV through the tunnel of time and music through the tunnel of time.
Yeah, music through the tunnel of time. I had to get permission to do that while I was still working at Channel 10 because they said they own me, right? And I was like, no, you rent me. I learned my lessons over the years, but they allowed me to do it if I didn't monetize it while I was still working at Channel 10. So I did a soft launch of it, and then after my career was unceremoniously ended before I was ready for it, 2 years early, I had a mild stroke. It didn't bleed outside of the vein. It only impacted coordination with my right lower leg 15-20%. I knew something happened. My cholesterol was genetically high, blood pressure was genetically high, but it was the stress at work. They kept dialing that up to an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10. I didn't know I had a stroke until 27 hours later. I knew something had happened. I put my gym bag in my car, did that when I was a one-man band reporter. Went to the gym after this horrible reporting day. Hurricane offshore, stuck in a traffic jam, live at noon, barely made it, pulled it out of my keister, made it look good. Then they said, okay, head in the other direction, 60 miles. You're live in the 4, live in the 5, live in the 6. Meet up with another photographer, grind out a couple packages, tweet it, Facebook it. Got to the gym after I did all that. Changed my clothes. Halfway up the steps, I kind of dropped.
Let's see.
I was like, it was my shoelace on time, but I broke my fall with my hands. So I stood back up, and I just felt weird in the head, Got to the top of the steps, and it was just, wow, I guess I rattled my head falling on the steps, So I brushed it off. Then I'm walking to the stretch mat, and my right foot was dragging just a little bit. I'm like, oh, I guess I pulled a muscle. And those symptoms didn't go away after a glass or two of wine that night when I got home. I did my workout.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
Now, the next day, symptoms persisted. I had an Airbnb guest I had to finish the prep for, push myself onto an afternoon night shift. So late lunch and nap. And, I started Googling as I'm getting ready to, getting dressed to go into work to anchor the weather that evening. And I say, can you pull a muscle and can you have a mild concussion falling on the steps? And the answer was, yes, or you could have had a stroke. And I was like...
It's the Dr. Google took care of everything.
I went to work. I went to work, and I couldn't get that out of my head. So I finally told the weekend producer and the weekend anchor person, I'm like, look, I don't know if I had a stroke or a mild concussion, but I'm going to do the 6 o'clock live. The storm had passed, but there was no one else to be able to fill in for me because they had double teamed in the morning. And I said, I'm going to, go to urgent care. I'll tape the 11. And the 20-something producer pulled her headphones down. She goes, can you tape that first weather segment too? I said, did you hear me? I said, I might have had a stroke. She goes, headphones back on. So I went to urgent care. They evaluated me. 15 minutes later, they came back like, RJ, we don't mean to freak you out. We can get a stroke. We called an ambulance, Rhode Island Hospital. And that was my last day on TV. I was out on short-term disability. And then my contract was up. Then they extended my medical leave for 2 months. And when I set up a meeting to talk about even what a gradual return to work would look like, I was separated from the company. I got an attorney, and there was a settlement. And then my long-term disability was denied. And then I got a separate set of attorneys.
Oh,
they fought it for 9 months. And after 9 months, the Lincoln Financial was like, oh, okay, we'll pay. So, and here I am. So last year I rolled out TV through the tunnel of time to do these video podcasts. I've got some video equipment. I'm at the gym 3 times a week. I take 2 7 to 8 mile walks across the city. I get a nap every afternoon now.
Perfect.
So look, that could have been a million times worse too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wake up with the mantras and the meditations and all that. It's like, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm resilient, and today's a bonus day.
Wow.
As they say, enjoy at our age, enjoy the passage of time.
Yes. Because once it's all over, and it's not over yet. And
not over yet.
And it's still going good.
Yeah.
And you're part of it. And thank you.
TV through the tunnel of time.
There'll be more stories to come featured on TVThroughTheTunnelOfTime.com.
TV through the tunnel of time. Up and down the broadcast trail.
Be sure and click the subscribe button right here as I invite you to the next stop. Sponsored by Nori Tattoo Studio, 148 Atwells Avenue, Providence, specializing in the art of modern realism. And Motif Magazine, in print and online at motifri.com, your source for all things local. And the Providence Eye, nonprofit independent journalism empowering the public. I also invite you to go to the merch store, pick up t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and more. mtttot.printful.me. Also be sure to check out the Music Companion, free, Music Through the Tunnel of Time, all genres and all eras of contemporary music. Get the app by searching MTTTOT or Music Through the Tunnel of Time. Direct on desktop and laptop, mtttot.com.
Music through the tunnel of time. MTTTOT.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe, share it with your friends, and thank you. I'm RJ Heim.